Sorry.
My name's Debbie Mace. I am way up a work practitioner for here. I'm the first one over here in Europe. It's an earth, mind, body, spirit wellness practice from Australia. And the reason that I mention it in connection with Doughnut is because the first time I saw Doughnut Economics, I was really overwhelmed by all the language and the arrows and the sections and the it just and the idea of being a 21st century economist, I don't understand the economy anyway. How am I going to understand this? It's too much. But it isn't, because actually it's called a donut because of the two circles. And Wayappa helped me to see this. So that first inner circle is all of our social systems. There's lots of labels, there's lots of language around it, but conceptually, that inner circle is all of our social systems. So that's everything from clean water, food, agriculture, transport, education, healthcare, manufacturing, business, everything. Everything that we as human beings plug into in our day to day lives is in that inner circle. Most of it is now red. There is only one section that is not red. It's not good. The outer circle is our climate. So again, there's a few sections there that aren't red because they updated it last October for Global Donut Days. Um, so it's not looking good on when you actually dive deep into it, but just to understand the concept of it, which is where I'm at the moment, because it sounds like Al's a lot further ahead than we are in Lincoln. So I've just sent you a message on LinkedIn to connect so I can pick your brains. Um, but when I explain that to people and it only takes a few minutes, they light up. It's like, I get this. This is what we need. This makes sense. Kate talks about the economy that we have at the moment as the plane that could never land because the consumption has to keep going to feed the beast. And we can't do that. We know we can't do that. It's going outside safe limits for the planet. It's keeping both of those circles, both of those cycles regenerative and flourishing, because when you have good stuff going on in one of the circles, it just naturally transfers to the other circle and then back and forth. So when you look at donut from that perspective, which is, I know it's ultra simplified, but that's kind of where I'm working with it at the moment, and people do get it. And when you look at it from that perspective, it just brings so much potential. And that's where we kind of started with Donut in 2023. We had a massive donut event in Lincoln. It was run by the university. There were 85 people there, business, climate, education. There was, across the board. And we had a really fantastic day. Rob Shorter from the Deal Economics Action Lab, the Deal team, came and actually ran the event for us. And he runs the grassroots group, which I would thoroughly recommend to anybody to join. It's an online monthly support, and it's absolutely brilliant. And he took us through this exercise of understanding the concept of the donut and then layering it up from there. And he got us doing lots of different exercises. All of this stuff's on the Deal website. There's so many tools and resources you can download for free off the Deal website. They're really incredible. And we came up with 4 clusters in 2023 in Lincoln to look at. One was access to nature, one was better business, one was marginalized voices, and one was community engagement. And then everything kind of fell off for a bit. It just went quiet. I've done a bit of digging, and what I've come up with is that, and this is sharing for learning's sake, really. We had 85 people at a really high profile event. But actually, what happened after that was they went back to their teams, people moved jobs. People didn't, they might have had the enthusiasm and the passion, but they weren't in a position within the business or within that organization to push things forward. So things sort of went quiet for a while. And then last year in 2025, Climate Hope, which I'm also a founding member of, we went over to Birmingham to a place called Civic Square. And they're fantastic. They've got so much community engagement going on there. Don't know if anybody's heard of them, but if you ever get the chance to go visit, they do like schedule visits now. They get so many requests for visits. They actually like plan you in. But Bing, when I was talking to Bing and I said, where did all this come from? Because there's just, that you just, the buy-in from the community is just amazing. And this is central Birmingham. And she said it would have been about 10 years ago when we started looking at the Doughnut Economics and we started getting it, doing portraits and making it meaningful for people. And we came back and we were really, really inspired. And then from there, I was part of, as I said, I've been part of that online grassroots group for about a year now. And they were talking about Global Donut Days in October, and there was funding available if people wanted to run events. And I just jumped in and I was just like, yeah, let's do it. And the response I've had has just been immense. I haven't had 85 people in a room, and I haven't looked to put 85 people in a room because that didn't really take off. So what we're doing now, a bit like what Al was talking about, we're doing the smaller stuff, the meaningful stuff, getting people together and having those conversations and asking them to envision what it is that this means to them and how that this can be taken forward. So with those 4 clusters, because that's what I focused on, so the access to nature cluster, that has actually now gone over to the Climate Commission. I'm also in the Climate Commission. So I'm helping I'm not leading on it, somebody else is, but I'm helping in that steering group. So we've got a project that we're looking at to look at maps, because we've got 4 maps in Lincoln, and that's just in Lincoln, not the whole county, but just in Lincoln. We've got 4 maps from 4 different organisations, and we're looking to kind of amalgamate them into one usable resource for people. And then from there, we've got a vision that we want to like build up so that we've got cycle routes and being able to walk between places. And, hopefully we won't be under the sea in a few years' time, but we shall see. So, we're getting people to buy into that, and they're making it meaningful for them. The marginalised voices, that's gone back to community groups and community hubs, and we're just going to see where that goes. And this week, actually yesterday and Tuesday, I had the online, because we had the in-person events in October, and then I had online meetups yesterday and Tuesday, and I had 4 or 5 people turn up to each, which isn't massive numbers, but I'd rather have the people there that have got the enthusiasm and the passion, and we'll build from there, rather than have lots of people and then it just drops off to nothing. So it's really, really worthwhile to just open up the question and be experimental, I think. I'm kind of losing track of my questions now, Ben. Is there anything that I haven't answered because I've been yabbering telling the story?
No, I think so. I think we'll ask them as well, sort of to just go over them afterwards as well. So that's absolutely fine.
I think, yeah, I think it's probably just best to see if there's any questions, because at the moment we're at that, as I said, we're not as far advanced as Al, but we are looking at having a hedgehog project and hedgehog highways. And we're looking at how I can link that into local business, because local business, the message that came through from the local business online meet yesterday was there's one person in particular who's so passionate about all this, and she's been pushing for 4 or 5, well, she said 5 or 6 years, she's been pushing to try and get Lincoln to come on board with better business. She said she travels nationally all over the country, meets different community groups and sows seeds in other places, but is finding it really, really hard to get anything going in our place. So we're having those conversations now around, well, rather than having a big event that fizzles off to nothing, why don't we do something that's more place-based, with community, with schools, building relationships, and let's look at hedgehogs, because that's part of our local nature recovery strategy, which has just come out this week. So it's trying to, like you were saying, Al, it's trying to link different things in together as much as you can and make it meaningful for people, and then offering it and saying, right, okay, what do you want to do? How do you want this to be? There is no kind of, it has to be this way. It really is about what makes sense for your place.